Okay. That sounds great. All right. So without further delay, and we're just going to get into the meat of the matter, I just wanted to ask about the situation that is being faced by Blacks over there in South Korea. We wanted to know how much of it is a propaganda or how real it really is. And I know as a pastor, you have great connections, with the people on the ground, people who in high places, people in low places, just across the board. What have you been seeing and what have you been feeling yourself?
Thank you so much for the question. I am glad I'm in the about I'm privileged to be in a position where I know a lot of things, and also by the grace of God, I got connected with a lot of Korean pastors, some of the senior pastors and missionaries, and also been connected with the Cameroon consul in Korea. He's a spiritual advisor, so it's got the privilege to know much about the Africans and the African trouble going on here in Korea. Yeah, usually I will start first with the aspect of immigration. Immigration is a kind of it's an issue that is really disturbing when it comes to the Black community here in Korea. First of all, yeah, I want to say that African here makes up of about, I think, 5,000 or so or more uh, population here in Korea, and most of the difficulties is being faced by them. It links to immigration. Yeah, normally the treatment when it comes to blacks is quite different from other countries, especially Asian as a whole. Not talk about Europe and US and Canada. Yeah, here where the blacks here are considered as second class or kind of stuff like that. Yeah, so we accept the name and we just keep going. What we hear and what we see. Yeah, so when it comes to immigration, yeah, that's a lot more, much trouble. Sometimes where you go in, they ask you, you have to go back to your home country and get a visa from there, and they come over here or go back and do one or two things. Yeah, so if you're a student, you want to go do the kind of extension and immigration, they will ask you, give you a bank statement, and when you give the bank statement, they ask you where the money come from. Yeah. And if you don't have a reason where the money is coming from, you're not extended, and that leads you to either illegal or you have to go back home.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so
you're saying that what you're facing is something that you don't see being done to people of other cultures. It's really just directed at you. They don't usually ask immigrants as a whole that those type of questions. They just ask that of the blacks, or specifically the blacks from Africa, or blacks as a whole.
specifically, well, I can say in exclusion with the African Americans, they have a special treatment. Yeah, probably because they're Americans. So the way it comes to blacks, yeah, as a whole, especially those from Africa, is quite different. Quite different. They face quite a tough time with immigration. The
What
highest time.
about since the pandemic? Do you find that the treatment has worsened since the pandemic? We heard over the news, and just by people spreading stories across the internet that people were being booted from their houses, people were being blamed for being the cause of the coronavirus. Blacks. Did you hear or did you yourself experience any such treatment?
Yeah, that is not here. That happened in China. Yeah,
Didn't happen.
so
Oh, okay.
yeah, not in Korea. Yeah, Korea is quite a democratic nation, so they kind of respect the human rights. Yeah, which they not know that they can do that. So yeah.
Okay. That's great. All right, back to the immigration situation though. So normally the people of different cultures or different race, you're saying they could like stay there in Korea and renew their visas or do their extensions from there. But when it comes to the Africans, you're sent back home to do the process again. Is that what you're saying? Or to renew your visas?
Renewing visa is has a lot of factors. Number one is that if you're a student and then you want to go and extend, you must have a bank statement first. You must send a junk. Your finances must come from Africa
Yes.
into into your account. So if that is not what happened, means that you can't be extended. But that's not what happens with other Asian country and also Europe. With income, they don't care where the money comes from. They do and extend, and that's it.
But
Yeah.
it's
So
automatically assumed that when you as Africans get the money, it's illegally obtained if it's not coming directly from your country. Is that what you're insinuating or saying?
yes, yes, they do ask where the money comes from. Where did you go this chunk of money that you made the bank statement? Yeah, because normally they said students are not supposed to work. So if you're not supposed to work, where do you get $10,000, $15,000 to make bank statement? So no one they knew or they should be expecting that the money should come from either your mother or your dad back home. So it should send from their account to your account. So when you make bank history, they keep checking up. Or you see whether you do some job. If you do any job, then they face the penalty. So
So basically, it's a double standard. You can't work while you're a student, and at the
yes,
same time, you can't you are expected to meet the needs like pay your bills and pay for school and pay for your education as a whole, but you can't work to obtain that money.
that's it. That's it. Yeah, yeah, that's
And
it.
is that across the board, or you're saying that's only for the African students?
I think that is probably the strictness coming from Africa is most basically in in a sense and then in the other hand if you got a job you must get a work permit and the work permit must come from the company you are working and if the company you're working seems necessary to kick you off the job, I mean you lose your work permit, and that was it. So so that is most difficulties that most blacks they have here. For the Asian that comes here, they have a much more privilege, especially if you're from Canada, if you're from US or Europe. They know that you are native speakers, so you can teach. Yeah, but Africans, they're not allowed, blacks are not allowed to teach because they're not native speakers. The only African country allowed to teach English is South Africa. Apart from that, if you are caught in a class, caught kind of teaching, yeah, you go down for it. Probably you should be deported.
Oh, okay. So basically, if you come from other African nations outside of South Africa, it will be difficult to get certain jobs that befit your aptitude because you are said to not be a native speaker, English speaker.
Yeah,
Wow,
no.
that's tough. All right, you said that you have about what, 5,000, uh, not just Cameroonians, but Africans as a whole, or was it specifically Cameroonians in South Korea?
African as a whole, probably
Oh,
they make up to more than 5,000. Yeah, because
more than
Cameroonian,
5,000.
about 1,000 something. I think so.
And
Yeah.
what percentage do you say, face discrimination or is undergoing difficulties? And other than the percentage that's facing difficulties, who do you have to speak to? Who do you have to turn to? Isn't there a consulate who, like that you can go to seek assistance to address these issues that you come across?
We those having the privilege of going to church, to churches, they're being helped by their pastors that follows them up, one thing or the other, and also we have the privilege of having a Cameroon consul here in Korea who is a Korean per se. So he knows the system here. So he tried to help most Africans here in Korea. So yeah, so that's it. So either a church pastor, a Korean pastor, or Cameroon consul in Korea, who is a Korean. So apart from that, any other ambassadors or African ambassadors who are in Korea, they have no voice because they don't know the Korean culture and the Korean system.
So basically, if you are a Cameroonian and or an African from any nation outside of South Africa, and you don't have contacts there or links in Korea, it's
Yes.
highly likely you're going to undergo difficulty. You're going to face discrimination.
Yeah, basically, yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that's why we kind of encourage any African coming here to be connected either to a church or to make sure that he registers with the consul here in Korea, so that in any kind of eventuality, there will be help. Yeah,
Yes.
yes, or the order.
Wow. So what kind of missions would they have to be a part of to get there? It's unfortunate that that's like almost the only route to get there. And of course, unless you're rich as well, your parents are rich and just pay the money outright for students to obtain their education there. What type of missions would one have to undertake or be a part of in order to get through to study in
Uh,
South Korea?
yeah, I think if you're a black and the only way you can cope or the only way you can adapt to the situation is you got to study the Korean language. Study it so well and you can speak it, you can understand it, and then it will be quite easy for to interact with the Koreans and with the Korean laws and the Korean system.
Yes.
But yeah, basically, it's quite difficult because for blacks to come over here and they try to study language. Yeah, that makes it to catch up with catch up jobs, that is hidden jobs, not to catch up life, and at the same time studying Korean language makes it quite difficult. But those who come here focus on Korean language course and they do it to right up to level 5. You must have to level 5 before you qualified to be integrated into Korean culture and system.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so you've been there for 7 years. Do you see that it has deteriorated over the years, or has it just always been that way from, the past 7 years that you've been there?
Well, yeah, that's just one factor. Yeah, yeah. The other factor, even though it remains the same, it doesn't change. Yeah, that is how Koreans are. There's a culture. You got to be there or you're not there. you know, you mess it up, you're sent back. Yeah. So they try to keep that standards to uphold their culture. And one of the difficulty is children being born here in Korea. Yeah, normally I think Asian country apart from Japan that I know is the only country that when you are born here you become a citizen. But in Korea, in China, everywhere they don't allow it. When you're born United citizen and you're not no documents, you're still under your parents, like dependent. Yeah, so that makes it quite much difficult for blacks to really kind of cope here in Korea because those who have children, they don't the children do not participate to the benefit of the Korean education or the Korean culture as compared to other as compared to the Korean being born to a Korean.
Is
Yeah,
there
having all
any
the
particular, I'm sorry, is there any particular reason why, or reason for choosing South Korea? Why so many of you, what is it that draws, you know, Cameroonians, Kenyans, and just all those different African cultures, the people, what draws you to South Korea?
Well, I think probably is for me in particular. Yeah, I think Korean is one of the second largest nation when it comes to missions. They have, I think, either the first or the second sending a lot of missionaries abroad. Yeah, and they're very good in missions. And then secondly, most Korean is an industrial country. Yeah, they're not in the tertiary state like America or Japan or other country, but Korea is still industrial. So most of the jobs there are skilled jobs, and also quite maybe it's quite easy to come to Korea than to go to other countries. Yeah, probably to get a visa is quite easy, and to make it in life is quite easy. Yeah, so that's what probably those who come here, this is their beginning point. From
So
here, they
it's
can
easy
move.
to get there, but it's difficult to stay there.
Difficult to study.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
wow. So
yeah,
it's like they basically you're saying they want you in and out. Even if you come to study, you still like you it's still going to be a struggle to stay there.
exactly. Yeah, even if you study, you finished nothing. You have nothing
What
to gain.
advice though would you give to other Africans or African nations? Because I know Africa is a continent, but when I say Africans, I know it's not just one country, it's many countries there. But outside of the South Africans that you say get good treatment there, what advice would you give to people from all those other African nations in terms of coming to that country? Would you advise it or advise against it based on what's happening now?
I will advise in twofold. The first one is that if you are coming to make to hustling, I
Hustle?
think, yeah, hustle,
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Mm-hmm.
yeah, like just to work. With that, okay, one, you must be very muscular. Yeah, because all Korean jobs are skill jobs. Yeah, because yeah, and secondly, if you're coming here to study, you must make sure that you're not going to work. No job for a student, and it's going to be very difficult. Except you are it should be a Christian where you kind of integrate yourself into a church, because now uh, the government support churches that takes care of mostly blacks. Yeah, they do support so much. So that's why most Korean churches they accommodate a lot of Africans, mission houses, and they still free, and takes care of them.
And
Yeah,
how
but
has your
then
mission been going?
what's that?
How
Sorry.
has your mission been going?
Oh, good, so good. I came through scholarship, so yeah. Basically, I've been here. I got a scholarship for 5 years. I did two masters, so I was staying in dormitory. I had free food, free housing, everything free for 5 years, and also my contribution to the school's community was help to ship food to all the professors.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I had an a cappella group. Yeah, so that I formed, which was booming, which was so interesting. Everyone liked it. And also, I was leader of the African worship team, where we have African dance once in a while in the chapel. So that was quite amazing to the Korean student, yeah, and to the
Okay.
professors. Yeah, and secondly, I kind of motivate a motivative attitude when it comes to sport and recreation and theater act. You
Okay,
know,
congratulations.
thank you. So yeah, so that alone attract support to me. Yeah, so many churches, many pastors wanted me because of they love my voice. Say I have a deep voice,
You're
and I'm this.
multi-talented.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So that makes life less much easier for me to
Yes.
copy. Yeah, because a lot of support from churches. And even when I have an immigration issue, the church takes over my problem. So yeah, they're like,
Okay, that's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, but for other Africans who are not talented, secondly, they have nothing to give out. They are kind of isolated. Yeah, even in the church, well, yeah, that's it. So that's why I encourage many African coming, please attach yourself to a Korean church. That is the only way you can be helped. Yeah,
Hmm.
when through difficulties here.
Wow. Well, I thank you so much, Pastor Joseph, for shedding light on this situation. And, it's really sad to know that in a country like South Korea, people would be faring so badly there, because you would think that that's one of the countries where things would be more balanced. And so the level of discrimination being shown just based on what you've said, that's like heartbreaking. And we're hoping that when this video goes out, that, it will, it will impact the situation in a way, it will force their hand to try to improve the situation and to treat the Africans, better than they have been doing. And congratulations just on the work that you've been undertaking, the people you've been helping, and of course on gaining your master's degree. There, you didn't go there and waste your time, so that's a great thing. And I wish for you and your wife all the best in whatever, endeavor you go on. But as we know, you can multitask. You're multi-talented, so basically you won't have a problem, right? But for the others in the meantime, I pray that, something will happen for them sooner and later. Thanks again, everyone, for joining me on another episode of Depth, Not Just Headlines. This episode was brought to you by Air Kitchen, coming soon to a house near you. I'm Deborah Anderson.
Thank you.